Judging by the poster included for this movie, I'm getting a real artsy horror vibe. And I like that. And you certainly have a cast lineup that fits that. Tim Roth is a big name, and Rebecca Hall is a favorite of mine in the horror space. I absolutely love her. From The Gift. I mean, this is even kind of psychological in nature, and this certainly fits the path of the film she's been in previously that I've watched. The Gift, The Night House, I just recently watched that a couple months ago. Thought it was a very interesting picture, very well made in regard to its presentation. And even its narrative, especially towards the end, got really philosophical. I thought it was very interesting. But Resurrection is the film we're looking at today. I've heard about it for a little while. The poster definitely brings me in again. It's a bit vintage in its style. I kind of like it. It feels like a bit of an older horror film. Like maybe you could say a bit Hitchcockian, at least in the appearance of the poster, in terms of the art. But the film itself is psychological in nature. I'll read the pitch in a minute for those of you who are not familiar with this IFC Films movie. I've seen a couple of their projects, and I've liked what I've looked at for the most part. But the theme itself does have some similar qualities to other Rebecca Hall psychological pictures, specifically The Night House. I get a bit of a vibe here, even though I'm sure the film is distinctly different. But it isn't, well, I mean, again, there's some variation, but it is very similar, at least in some regard. But it's an interesting pitch. This is what it says according to IMDb. Margaret's life is in order. She's capable, disciplined, and successful. Everything is under control. That is, until David returns, carrying with him the horrors of Margaret's past. So the reason I say this is similar to me to The Night House is that in that case, you have a husband that, again, is the center of a story. With Resurrection, I guess the husband is... husband, I don't know exactly, whoever David is, he's coming back into the picture. With Night House, it was the opposite. It was when the husband character departed that suddenly the character's life got uneven. Here, it's more the familiar of, a disturbing presence comes into my life, or somebody that obviously, perhaps brings some bad luck with them or whatever's going on, and suddenly, oh no, my life's in, a shocking turn of events. Let's give Resurrection a bit of a look. I've got two trailers pulled up, the teaser trailer and the trailer number one. I'm going to include both of them in this video. We'll go over them, one after the other in the release date order, starting with the teaser trailer. But again, Rebecca Hall is an immediate pull for me. So let's go ahead and take a look at this, especially again in the psychological thriller space. She has done so well. I mean, again, The Night House was good. The Gift, though, I revere. The Gift is my favorite pictures I've ever seen. It's such a well-done film if you've never watched it. My respect to her, because she did such a good job in that role. And Joel Edgerton. And, well, I mean, Jason Bateman was in there, too, and I always love him, but Joel Edgerton also did a really good job. Anyway, teaser trailer for Resurrection. Without further ado, here we go. Let's get a look at this.
Abby, if you're watching this, it means that something went wrong.
Oh, okay. Shudder. They do a lot in the horror space.
I'm sorry. I couldn't tell you.
I certainly see a lot of potential.
I thought that I could make it all okay. But I was unlucky in what happened.
Good tease. Is that David? I'd believe that. This is Rebecca Hall we're talking about. Bit psychological, perhaps? What type of story is this? Yeah, psychological thriller. Always a grab for me. Yanks you by the collar, whispers most deranged. I like the sound of that. I didn't catch the rest, but ooh. Tantalizing review.
I know him. I know what he's capable of.
Yeah, it's got an awards poll. I did see this trailer was acknowledged, by the way. Or not this one necessarily, maybe it was the other trailer, but this got some attention with TIFF.
An episode.
Or Toronto International Film Festival, so it's got a bit of a presence, and I see that in the general aesthetics. A gripping, gruesome thriller, the kind of creeping dread that hallmarks some of its best horror. Okay. I believe it's, yeah, this is Rebecca Hall we're talking about.
I'm my daughter from harm.
It's been 22 years, Maggie. I just want you to be happy.
I mean, what type of story is this? The psychological aspect could be anything. It could be a bad relationship. It could be... I mean, Tim Roth has done a good job in the past in terms of villainous roles. I mean, even perhaps maybe the films have been my favorite. I mean, he was abominable. I mean, he still is, actually. It's going to be in the new She-Hulk show. This looks infinitely better in regard to its quality, but I mean, that's not a Tim Roth fault. That's Marvel. Anyway, it's modern day Marvel. Yeah, they make a lot of mistakes. But Tim Roth, he's, I would say, pretty good at the villainous performance. He's certainly more adept than that. This is very serious, though, and again, it has that awards aesthetic. IFC Films have produced movies and other productions that fit that general line. You watch a trailer, it just has that energy to it. I mean, you can see it with like awards fair. It just, there's a signature element. It might just be the independent craftsmanship in regard to perhaps maybe bigger commercial releases. You just see the distinction. Like I said, though, Rebecca Hall, immediate pull for me. I love her. The psychological thriller and the fact that this is so emphasized in at least 2 of the reviews attributed, that instantly grabs me. It's a preferred subgenre of mine. It got 2022 official selection at Sundance. Okay. So what was that review? That was from IGN. All right. An audacious psychological thriller. Audacious. What a great adjective. Yanks you by the collar and whispers its most deranged and violent ramblings. Mere inches from your face. Yeah. The psychological aspect pulls on you. Again, I'm going to imagine that this ties into the specific relationship here. A gripping, gruesome thriller, the kind of creeping dread that hallmarks some of its best horror. These are great teases. I'm brought in. Blistering psychological thriller will shock and shake you to your core. You know, I will say again, like in the past, I mean, The Gift did this. The Night House certainly had that element to it in regard to its story. Tim Roth's performance gives me a bit of a creepy vibe. I'm wondering if perhaps, like, again, I think the conflict comes from perhaps maybe a past relationship or some sort of other engagement between the lead characters. Maybe he's a bit abusive, and that could be perhaps a psychological component coming in. And maybe that's, you know, maybe part of the threat is Rebecca Hall. What was the synopsis again? Let me see how well this ties in, maybe even just on a general consideration. The horrors of Margaret's past. Perhaps. I mean, she's got maybe these two, because she's got the child. Maybe he's come back into the picture, and again, that's what's bringing the conflict. And maybe it is, you know, a factor of abuse. That could do very well, especially within the award space. And, I mean, in modern day, I mean, you look to, like, where we are socially speaking in regard to certain social topics, and awards fair does have a general adjacent parallel to the real world, especially in certain societal talking points. And, you know, I think in terms of the abuse and what we've learned about, you know, especially given, you know, I say this as somebody who's personally, it really provokes me when I hear people's stories regarding abuse, because it's been such a taboo subject for so long in the way we treat it as society. So to see Film Fair address this, I mean, perhaps you get, for you, maybe most of you think about this in, like, in terms of a societal parallel. Me Too immediately comes to mind, right? Now, I don't necessarily, this is going to be like a Me Too story, but it's relevant, at least in the energy, if it were an abuse story. Again, I could be wildly off base here in regard to what the basis is to the tension and the conflict of this show, but he just gives me a bit of a creeper husband-boyfriend vibe, or father vibe. I just see traits here, at least in the performance. Or he could just be a creepy guy in general. I guess let's get more of a window with the trailer. And the trailer will probably be more in-depth. I think it's probably a little longer, actually, than the teaser trailer. But, I don't know, just giving you my general consideration here. I mean, that was an over 2-minute trailer. This isn't much larger, only about 9 seconds. But perhaps this will go more in-depth with the story. I don't know. But it's a tantalizing first introduction.
Have you ever done anything bad?
And again, Shudder is a very well-known name in the horror space. Or thriller, horror thriller, some crossover. Although this is a much more tempered picture. It's not like some sort of gory slasher thing. Again, I like the thriller approach.
There was this man, and he was handsome, charismatic, and he noticed me.
Some of the worst men are. I like that kind of peek around the corner, like, ooh, how scary.
It wasn't as tough as we thought.
Yeah, I see a trauma performance.
Happened? Nothing. I just feel a bit off.
Maybe there isn't a past relationship. Maybe it's just like, the guy's got bad vibes. I don't know.
Go away.
Are you speaking to me?
Stay away from me and my kid.
Okay, you are mistaking me for someone else.
So there isn't a connection.
I know him. I know what he's capable of.
I've missed you so much.
So it seems some of my theories were wrong, but...
Was perfect.
Come after me. Come after my child. I swear to God, I will kill you. He wants to hurt us. But I won't let that happen.
Deranged.
I think you're having an episode.
It could still be a past relationship. Maybe she's just making
The only person
an
who really
unfounded
knows
connection.
who you are.
And he just reminds her of something or someone. Speaking of the Night House, do you remember, for those of you who remember the trailer, if you watched it, do you remember how the letters kind of floated out of line? Same thing here. Same exact thing. I think it's with either the Night House or even that, or maybe it's just one of the letters kind of drew down like in this longer line. It just increased in length. These letters appear out of place, but it's a similar marketing aesthetic. Like I said, Stark Awards vibe here. I think my theory was off, even though I would say, based on the opening, because it just takes one look. She's sort of... Again, Rebecca Hall is just such a good actress. I love her from her past pictures. She's just such an excellent performer. It's a very convincing response. I'm seeing sort of PTSD vibes. Even if she doesn't necessarily know David, there's some sort of connection. Or maybe she does know David, but perhaps he's just manipulating her, gaslighting her. There's some sort of theme. Just, I don't know. Again, I think the sweat's a nice detail, by the way. I'm again imagining if it's a sort of after that meeting. She's in the same attire, and like one side of her shirt's pulled out. I mean, not necessarily that sweat, like around the armpit line is a flattering look, but you understand, like she's in distress. That's a very good visual indicator. I'm getting a trauma vibe here. I'm seeing it. The performance from her is award worthy. Tim Roth as well. I would easily say that. I mean, again, creeper vibes. Perhaps my theory again on... I mean, he could have been a partner. I mean, heaven forbid. I mean, if this happened, like, let's say this was in a real life story, but maybe they do know each other. Maybe she was drugged by him. Again, I don't know. Maybe the twist is that, oh, you know, I'm the father of your child, and that's why I'm, you know, coming back into your life, but you just don't know. I mean, there's just something here. Again, I see a bit of familiarity in the structuring to a very realistic story. I mean, psychological thrillers oftentimes come across that way, even if, again, they're fictional. I just see familiar vibes to what I'm familiar with in regard to toxic relationships. There are certain behavioral indicators that I can't necessarily shake that as just a wrongful assumption. I mean, maybe, again... It might not be directly a marital relationship, but it is a very romantic situation, in my opinion, in regard to where perhaps the conflict is rooted. I find it interesting. But the driving force is, of course, psychological thriller. I'm always game for. Rebecca Hall, I absolutely adore. And her performance here, again, is just, it's perfect. It is perfect. In regard to the character she's playing, I truly believe that she is victimized by trauma, to whatever context that might be, and whoever David is, and whatever the factors are in regard to why she feels so in conflict to him. I just really like the performance. It's really jiving for me. It's a solid thriller, so I would believe the reviews. Not that I necessarily give critics that much of a consideration these days. I think the audience has a little more credibility, but I really like it. What are your guys' thoughts with Resurrection? Like I said, tantalizing is a great word. It really just brings me in. But I'm always game for a psychological thriller, and Rebecca Hall is the absolute driving force. But let me know your thoughts. Maybe you haven't seen many pictures of Rebecca Hall. Like I said, The Night House, great film. The Gift, highly recommend. It's a beautiful thriller film. I mean, it's probably one of the best I've ever seen, because Joel Edgerton is just a great filmmaker, but the performances in that movie are, if they didn't win awards, they were award-winning worthy. They were that good. It was such a good film. I highly respect it. And this looks good too, like a lot of potential. Or maybe you disagree. Feel free to let me know what your thoughts are down below. But I do think, like I said, I'm generally interested. So when Resurrection comes out, did they indicate a release date here? I maybe missed it if they did. No. It's got Shudder attribution. So maybe that's where it's debuting. I don't know. Maybe it is. I'd have to look deeper into that. Maybe you know. Feel free to fill in down below if you feel so interested. But that looks good. And Grace Kaufman's a familiar name too. I'm not sure where I've seen her before. Maybe I've just seen her name in passing, but I recognize her name. So familiar talent, but the film absolutely just brings me in. I'm very eager to solve the mystery of whatever's going on here, who David is, and why Rebecca Hall is so traumatized by her character, why she's so traumatized. I think there's a lot of potential with this picture. I'm definitely geared to watch it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.